If you're just joining us, we invite you to subscribe to our channel and show your support for this video by giving it a thumbs up. It may seem like a fleeting moment, yet it has ignited a fire within us to share more of our stories. Please, let us know you appreciate this content. And now, let's dive into today's tale. I never imagined I would be here, sharing my story with the world. Yet, life has a peculiar way of pushing us into the most unexpected of situations. I'm Mira, and for what feels like an eternity, I believe my marriage was perfect. My husband, Daniel, was the epitome of kindness and hard work, always dedicated to the well-being of our family. Nearly 10 years of marriage had passed, and though the flames of passion had dimmed somewhat, my love for him remained steadfast and strong. But then, something began to shift. Perhaps it was the monotony of daily routines, the exhaustion of balancing work and home life, or simply the inevitable march of time. But I felt an increasing emptiness within me. I tried to brush it off, convincing myself that every marriage has its ups and downs, that these feelings were just part of the journey. It all began when I decided to join a gym. The decision wasn't a dramatic one. It was born out of a lingering sense of fatigue and a desire to feel better physically. Daniel had always encouraged me to take care of myself, so when I suggested the idea, he fully supported it. He even helped me pick out a gym near our home. It was there that I met Amaran. He was the head trainer, and from the very first time I encountered him, I could tell he was different. He wasn't just another fitness instructor going through the motions. He genuinely cared about the well-being of his clients. When I first walked into the gym, nervous and unsure of myself, Amaran was there to put me at ease. "You don't need to be perfect right away," he told me with a reassuring smile. "It's about progress, not perfection." His words stayed with me. It had been so long since anyone had spoken to me with such sincerity and warmth. Daniel and I had fallen into a rhythm of casual, predictable conversation. But then, here was someone who truly made me feel seen and heard. At first, our interactions were strictly professional. He guided me through my workouts, corrected my form, and encouraged me when I felt like giving up. But as the weeks went by, our conversations expanded beyond fitness. We began talking about life, our dreams, our struggles, the things that mattered most to us. I learned that Amaran had once been a national-level athlete until an injury ended his career, forcing him to search for a new purpose. I found myself relating to him more than I expected. Like him, I had felt a part of myself slip away over the years. The woman I once was, the one full of dreams, laughter, and ambition, seemed like a distant memory. One evening, after an especially grueling workout, Amaran and I found ourselves sitting on a bench outside the gym, sipping water and unwinding. He turned to me with a thoughtful expression and said, "You seem different today." I hesitated, before responding, feeling a weight in my chest. "Sometimes it feels like I'm stuck in a loop, living the same day over and over," I confessed. He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Routine has a way of shaping us. But you're doing something about it now. Challenging yourself is the first step toward change." His words resonated deeply within me. It wasn't just about getting fit, it was about rediscovering myself. And with each passing week, I could feel a transformation taking place, not just physically but emotionally too. I began to smile more, to feel lighter in ways I hadn't in years. Amaran had unknowingly become a catalyst for this change. His encouragement, his belief in me, it was a spark that lit something deep within. Still, as much as I tried to convince myself that it was all innocent, I couldn't ignore the growing feelings I had for him. He had become a source of inspiration, a friend who made me feel truly seen. But I also knew it was more than that. One day, after an intense training session, I felt an overwhelming urge to talk to him. I wanted to share more than just the usual pleasantries. Without thinking, I asked, "Would you like to grab a coffee?" He looked surprised but quickly agreed. "Sure, let me just finish up here." We went to a small cafe near the gym, and for the first time in years, I found myself opening up. I shared the complexities of my marriage, the emotional distance that had grown between Daniel and me, and the loneliness that seemed to envelop me. I didn't paint Daniel as a bad husband, he wasn't. He was a good man, but we had drifted apart over time. Amaran listened attentively, never interrupting, his focus unwavering. When I finished, he simply said, "You deserve to feel fulfilled, to be true to yourself." His words lingered in my mind long after I left. I found myself questioning if I truly was fulfilling my needs, or if I was merely surviving. That night, lying in bed beside Daniel, I couldn't shake the feeling of emptiness. He slept soundly, oblivious to the storms swirling within me. I wanted to talk to him, to tell him how I felt, but the words wouldn't come. In the days that followed, I tried to pull away from Amaran. I told myself it was nothing more than a fleeting connection, a momentary distraction. But no matter how much I tried, I couldn't ignore how much I looked forward to our conversations, how much I craved the way he made me feel alive again. Then one evening, everything changed. The gym was nearly empty, the rain outside pounding against the windows as I wrapped up my session. The lights flickered, and for a brief moment, the power went out. In the dim glow of the emergency lights, it was just Amaran and me. He looked at me, his expression serious, almost troubled. "Ria," he started, but I simply shook my head, not ready to confront whatever was in his eyes. "I understand," I murmured, and we sat in silence, the rain outside the only sound filling the room. It was in that moment I realized I was standing at a crossroads. I had crossed a line not physically, but emotionally, and I wasn't sure where it would lead. From that point forward, I couldn't deny the changes within me. I began to feel as though I were walking a tightrope, caught between two worlds, the life I had built with Daniel and the new path that seemed to be unfolding before me with Amaran. Daniel, as usual, remained oblivious to the turmoil inside me. He continued to come home, lost in his routines, unaware of the subtle transformation taking place in me. One evening, he casually mentioned that he'd be away for work the following weekend. "It's a conference," he said, his attention on his phone. "I'll be gone for 3 days." I nodded, managing a smile. "Anything you need me to pack?" "No, it's just a quick trip," he said with a dismissive wave. That was it, a simple exchange, devoid of emotion or connection. Yet, in that moment, I felt a deep ache. Once, we would have spent hours talking about everything, but now, a weekend apart seemed almost insignificant. As Daniel left for his trip, I found myself at the gym once again. But this time, something was different. The air seemed heavier, charged with unspoken tension. It was the awareness of impending solitude for the next few days. Perhaps it was simply the burden of all I had been experienced, but there. I stood before Amaran after my session, observed my uncertainty in finding the right words say you all. Right after a moment of uncertainty, I gave a slight nod, indeed simply reflecting. He regarded me intently for a brief moment, then dried his hands on a "Let's go," he urged. "We take a stroll." I accepted it without hesitation after our workout. At the gym was strolled over to the nearby park. The evening unfolded in serene silence, air sharp and invigorating, while the sky donned a tapestry of orange and pink shades. Text I feel as though I'm slipping away, I confessed, my voice scarcely rising. Above a whisper, Amaran remained silent for what felt like an eternity at last. He let out a deep sigh, and not a drift. Ria, you are merely in pursuit of that elusive piece of it, has long been absent from your life. His words caused a constriction in my chest, but what if the quest I embark upon is misguided? Halted his steps and pivoted to meet my gaze it misguided to seek. Happiness, no response came to mind. We lingered on a bench, your eyes fixed on the Sunas. It gracefully descended beneath. The horizon's duration of our stay remains a mystery, lost in the ebb and flow of our conversation, reflect on existence, on aspirations, and all that we had surrendered. Throughout the years with him, everything felt effortless. There existed neither expectations nor obligations, only a shared understanding that we were two souls who had discovered comfort in one another's presence. Eventually a chill began to settle. A shiver coursed through me, and in an instinctive gesture Emerin removed his jacket and gently placed it over my shoulders. Towel. It was a modest act to envelop me in a warmth that transcended the mere touch of fabric. Ria, he murmured softly, I wish to avoid complicating things for you. I gazed at him, noticing the worry etched in his eyes. Refrained from urging Menat, attempting to guide me along a route I wasn't prepared to traverse. He presented me with a choice that filled me with a deeper fear than anything else, for I found myself uncertain about the choice I truly wished to embrace. At that night I returned home, my mind swirling with a tumult of emotions. Daniel reached out to see how things were going, and I responded as if everything was just fine, yet my thoughts wandered to distant realms. In the days that followed, increasingly sought the company of Amaranth, out of a desire to stray from the path, but because he reminded me of passions and dreams I had long set. Assidu embarked on more walks, exchanged deeper conversations, and with each moment I sensed myself drifting further from the life that once defined me. On the final day before Daniel's anticipated return, Amaran posed a question that would alter the course of everything. Is happiness gracing your heart? It was a question so simple, yet it seemed to carry the burden of the entire universe upon its shoulders. I parted my lips to respond, yet silence enveloped me, for the truth eluded my grasp, and perhaps that was the crux of the matter. From the very beginning that night I found myself wide awake, me gaze fixed on the ceiling as Amaran's question echoed repeatedly in my thoughts. Is happiness gracing your heart? Your hat should have been a simple question to address, was met with a silence in my heart that felt overwhelmingly loud. Daniel returned home the following evening, weary from his journey. He enveloped me in his arms, pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead, and shared the details of his meetings. I inclined my head, offered a smile, and absorbed the words spoken, yet deep within I sensed an unfamiliarity, as if I were an outsider in the very space I once called my own. A choice loomed before me, and I understood that I had to act. I found myself unable to endure this state of uncertainty between the existence I had crafted and feelings that had profoundly unsettled me. Dawn broke the following day. I found myself embarking on an unexpected journey. I inquired of Daniel whether we might have a conversation. His expression was one of surprise, perhaps tinged with a hint of concern. Certainly, he remarked, placing his phone down gently. What seems to be the issue? In that moment of uncertainty I found myself sifting through a myriad of thoughts, seeking the perfect expression. Though you believe we find joy in our livish, his brow knitted in concentration. Cald, you clarify what you mean? I inhaled. Duplido, you ever get the sense that something has slipped away from you, sir? Me merely going through the motions. Remained silent for an extended pause. Let out a deep sigh. Marmarai can sometimes lack the thrill we expect. Your journey together spans many years of everything evolves. However, that does not imply we are discontented. Do we find ourselves in a state of happiness? I applied pressure. His brow furrowed, a clear indication of his confusion regarding my inquiry. I believed we were right. Was at that moment that I came to understand the true issue at hand, and I existed in realms entirely apart from one another. For him, our existence was steady, forcible, sufficient, yet within me there lingered a sense of absency, an undeniable void that demanded my attention. I chose not to mention Amaranto. Him, the essence was lost on that notion. The crux of the matter was my transformation. I could no longer maintain the facade of normality, and deep down I understood that all was not well. I believe we must determine our desires, I murmured softly. I refuse to imagine waking up a decade from now on me to find that we've become mere housemate rather than partners in this journey of life. Daniel gazed at me intently, his eyes lingering with unspoken thoughts. For the first time in years, I caught a glimmer in his eyes. Apprehension saw perhaps a touch of remercia. Confessed, I don't want that affair. It was the most genuine dialogue we had experienced in years. This commenced a journey neither of us had anticipated in. The days that ensued we endeavored to engage in conversation, began to take leisurely strolls, prepare meals side by side and indulge in fond memories of the early days of our union. It was not a solution born of enchantment yet. The doubts did not vanish in an instant yet. It marked the beginning. Gregarding Amarin, I have made a decision. I visited the gym for one final occasion and discovered him in his customary spot. Perceived the choice reflected in my gaze. For a single word escaped my lips. I cannot proceed with this, I informed him. He nodded, a subtle smile of comprehension grazing his lips. I understand. Meeting you is something I hold without regret. I expressed sincerely. You opened my eyes to truths I had long overlooked. I must unravel the complexities of my existence. Bear, I can stumble further. You deserve to be happy, Rhys said. For the very first time I found myself believing that as I turned to leave, that dire, profound realization settled within me. Was embracing my own worth. Neither Daniel nor Amaron, but rather my happiness transcends the company we keep. It revolves around discovering tranquility within oneself. Finishly, my narrative does not revolve around an affair. It was a reminder to live intentionally, to make choices that align with one's true self. At times, the most challenging aspect isn't the act of departure. It is the decision to remain and battle for what genuinely holds significance.